the arrogant passenger and the wise personality. It was early morning, and the boarding process for a flight from Dallas to New York City was underway. Passengers were carrying their coffee in bags as they lined up to board. This was a first-class boarding, a setting marked by calm and exclusivity. Among the travelers, one man stood out, a tailored navy suit, polished leather shoes, and an air of superiority that was impossible to ignore. This man, likely in his mid-40s, seemed to have spent his life climbing the corporate ladder. His every movement radiated self-importance. As he settled into his seat, he immediately began checking emails on his tablet. Amidst this, an elderly gentleman caught his eye. This man wore a simple tan jacket and well-worn loafers, his face bearing the marks of wisdom and experience. The elderly man quietly found his seat, stowed his bag, and gazed out the window. However, the arrogant passenger dismissed him as ordinary and unworthy of first class. "I guess first class isn't so exclusive anymore," the man muttered loudly enough for the elderly passenger to hear. The older man merely smiled slightly and remained silent. This lack of response only fueled the younger man's ego, prompting more cutting remarks. "Do they give charity upgrades now?" he quipped. But the elderly man's silence was an answer in itself, a sign of someone who valued his dignity too much to engage in petty talk. As the flight took off, the arrogant man became even more condescending. "Old-timers like you must miss the days of propeller planes," he sneered. The elderly man glanced at him briefly, then returned to gazing out the window. His silence was the mark of someone wise enough to avoid wasting words on the undeserving. When the flight crew began serving beverages, a flight attendant approached the elderly man with noticeable respect. "Mr. Eastwood, would you like tea or coffee?" she asked. That one sentence changed everything. The arrogant man froze. "Mr. Eastwood? Could it be Clint Eastwood? The legendary Hollywood icon known worldwide for his remarkable work and commanding presence?" As whispers spread among the passengers, "That's Clint Eastwood!" the atmosphere of the cabin shifted entirely. The arrogant man's face turned pale as he realized his grave mistake. Embarrassed and filled with regret, he tried to apologize. "I didn't know," he muttered quietly. Eastwood simply responded, "And if I wasn't who you think I am, would that make your behavior acceptable?" The arrogant man had no response and fell silent. Eastwood added calmly, "Respect isn't about someone's status or name. It reflects who you are as a person." For the remainder of the flight, the arrogant man sat in silence, reflecting on his behavior and Eastwood's words. When the plane landed in New York, Eastwood smiled gently at the man before leaving and offered one last piece of advice. "Take care of yourself." The arrogant man, now humbled, took out his phone and typed a note to himself. "Be like Eastwood." He resolved to change his ways, aligning his life with the true values of respect and humanity.